Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Welcome into Morning in the Valley. I am Jeff Bidwell. It is August the 27th, knocking on the door of September here. Before we know it, as we are now fewer than 10 weeks away from the start of the 2025-26 season. Cannot wait for that. Coming up in just a couple of minutes, we're going to talk with the head coach of the Evansville Purple Aces women's program, Robyn Scherr, as she gets ready for season number 5 in Evansville. And it's sort of an interesting summer, I think, maybe from a narrative standpoint with Evansville, that you're like, they lose their leading scorer, arguably their best player last year, and Maggie Hartwig. She goes into the portal, off to other places, and you're like, oh, it's just another mid-major getting poached by the big guys. Maybe a little column A there, but Evansville returning 6 of their top 8 scorers from a year ago. And so a lot to build on there for Coach Scherr with a young team. 13 players currently on the roster, 12 of them either freshmen or sophomores. So a bright future that hopefully can bear some fruit for Coach Scherr this season. We'll talk with her about that coming up in about 9 minutes or so. If you haven't done so already, please head over to YouTube, subscribe for free to Morning in the Valley. Just search us out. Subscribe, like, share, comment, all of it, and we'll help to continue helping this program grow, as we are now 68 days away from the start of the season. All right, headlines of the day. And as we have a lot of scheduled news to get to today, and breaking down some non-conference schedules. And the one thing that has become just crystal clear is the chasm between scheduling for top teams in the Missouri Valley Conference on the women's side and top teams on the men's side. And, the conversation we had a week or two ago with Ryan Miller, head coach at Murray State, on the men's side. And he said, quote, "We could not get bought. Nobody in the power schools wanted to play him." And he said, look, there's 100 reasons why, whether it's not advantageous for them, whether we're an unknown quantity, whatever it may have been. There's a lot of reasons. And we've seen other schools in the Valley on the men's side who we anticipate being at the top of the Valley not getting any games against power schools. Then you flip to the women's side. And not only are the women's teams getting those games, they are getting those games at home. And it's just, holy cow. It is awesome. It is awesome for the sport. It is awesome for the fans. It is awesome for these teams to have these type of opportunities to put together at-large resumes and not have to just go, hey, we want to play a tough schedule. We've got to go play everything on the road. Oh, they will come to you. And the first team we're going to talk about today is primo example number 1, and it is the Drake women, as they put out their non-conference schedule, and it's really, really good. You got home games. I mean, we look at this a lot from a metric standpoint of what's going to be good for the computers and so on. Well, you've got 3 top 40 teams from a year ago coming into the Knapp Center. Creighton, who was 30 in the net last year. Iowa State, 36 in the net. And then you get Minnesota, who won the WBIT. They were 37 in the net at the end. Now, it's home games with the net. You have to be a top 30 to be a Q1. So for the moment, if you look at last year, Creighton would be the only quad 1 game, but Iowa State, Minnesota, right on the border. Q1, Q2, whatever. You get those games at home, it's fantastic. And then they've got Lindenwood and Western Illinois, Q4 games at home, just what you want. Neutral site, they're going to go to Nashville, play in the Music City Classic. No teams have been announced for this, outside of Drake saying, hey, we're playing in it. But a year ago, the teams, sort of funky format from what I was able to find, but you had teams like Kentucky, Illinois, Arizona State. There was Maryland Eastern Shore was in it as well. But there are opportunities for some more big games against big teams on a neutral site. And then on the road, you've got a couple quad 3 games, Eastern Illinois. First time those two. They're going to open up the season at Eastern Illinois on November the 3rd. First meeting of those two programs since 1992. They're going to go to St. Thomas. And then, oh, by the way, they're going to go down the road to Iowa City and play a quad 1 game, hopefully, against Iowa. So you've got 4 Q1, Q2 games. 3 of those are at home. Don't know how many you're going to be able to get on a neutral site down in Nashville as well, but just an absolute chef's kiss schedule for Allison Pullman and what they were able to put together. Just a bruiser, and 100% she's going to have her team ready to roll and prepared as best as they can for Missouri Valley Conference play. Illinois State also put out their schedule since we last spoke, and this one is probably more favorable from the metric side, as opposed to not able to get as many home games against the power schools, but they've got them. They've got them on the road. They're going to go to Illinois, who was 29 in the net last year. They're going to go to Nebraska, 40 in the net last year. Those will both be quad one opportunities on the road. At home, it's sort of it's the perfect metric standpoint. You got quad four teams coming in: Chicago State, St. Louis, Eastern Illinois, Oakland. You got a quad three opponent against Dayton, right on the cusp there of a Q3, and then they are going to Puerto Rico, I believe San Juan, and they'll get quad three games. Again, if all the stuff holds from last year, hopefully those opponents are better for them this year. It'll be Rice, East Carolina, and then Wake Forest. So I think what you see, and I think geography has a lot to do with it, where you have teams that are Belmont's a prime example, to get home and homes with Kentucky and Ohio State and Duke and Tennessee. And it's like, well, Nashville is a destination, for these schools looking for a place to go. And they're like, yeah, we'll go to Nashville. We'll play Belmont, and they're a good team, and we'll play them. But it's like, hey, we can go experience Nashville. And I think, with Drake, Des Moines, you can get in and out of there. I think that's a better situation. It might be a little harder to get to Normal. Might be a little harder to get to a Murray type of place. That sometimes I think you see some of the number of power schools willing to make those trips lessens when it's a little less of a I don't want to say tropical destination, but at least an easy in and out from a airport situation, and also just hey, do we want to go spend a couple of days there with our team and enjoy ourselves? So, but Illinois State. Kudos to their sports marketing department. They put out a video yesterday with their schedule, and it was they teamed up their kids. It was like 2x2, getting on the arc and standing in front of this map of the United States. It was just a blank map, and it was, we want you geography majors to tell us where our games will be played when we play our road games. And it was, where on the map is Champaign? Where on the map is Lincoln, Nebraska? My favorite one was the game they're playing Wake Forest, which they're playing in San Juan, but they're like, where's Wake Forest? And the kids they had on there were just flummoxed, because my favorite part of the whole thing was, is that in Rhode Island? And it was like, and there's three of them, and they're going around, and it was like you could tell no one was confident with it started with, maybe it's in New York, maybe it's in Rhode Island, or that Providence. Are they in the ACC? It was wonderful. So if you get a chance, go check that out on their social media page on X, that they had that posted yesterday. But great stuff there from Illinois State as their schedule has been released. The head coach of the Evansville Purple Aces has joined us this morning as Robyn Scherr, getting ready for season number 5 as the head coach of the Aces, and she joins us. Coach Scherr, good morning to you, ma'am. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you doing?
I am lovely. Glad you are able to carve out some time for us this morning. I appreciate it. Everybody's talking schedules, and it's still August, so we're not quote unquote late. How are you doing with getting your non-conference together?
We have it done. I am waiting on one contract to come back so that we can release it, dot the I's and cross the T's, but hoping to get it out this week. No, but we're done. I know, a lot of other teams have started posting their schedules, so some of our stuff is out there. But no, we're excited about our schedule. Play some tough teams on the road, like Iowa and Purdue, SLU on the road, Dayton on the road. So we got some good road games set up, and looking forward to it. Looking forward to the challenge.
How was the summer? I guess we're now officially into fall. I guess school started, and we're now into the fall practices. But just as a whole, just how'd the summer go for you with the kids?
It was a great summer. Just a really enjoyable time to have our players on campus. We had 11 of our 13 players were here. We had 2 of our incoming freshmen are international, and just it was tough getting their visas in time to get them here for the summer, but they, are here now for the fall. But so we had, 11 of our 13, and it was a great opportunity. We have got 6 returners and 7 newcomers. So it was a really good chance for them to spend quality time with each other, for us to, get them going on the court, and kind of see how the pieces fit together, and just a group that loves being in the gym. So the time flew by, but it was really enjoyable.
One of the things saw you guys post when summer workouts were done, you went up to Indianapolis, went to a Fever game, and just from, look, Indiana, it is you could argue the basketball state in our country, and it's such a big deal, but do you feel it, like the change and the shift of women's basketball and maybe more eyes? And obviously you've got this North Star and Caitlin Clark there that gets so much attention, but do you feel it sort of trickle out among the rest of the state?
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, I mean, Indiana is such a great state for basketball. So I always have felt, being here, that people pay attention to women's basketball, and that there's always been a good following, and people in Indiana will go out and watch basketball if it's good basketball. Doesn't matter what level, what gender, people are going to go watch it. And I'm from Chicago, and, I mean, Chicago's a great city. Illinois is a great state, but it's a little bit more football first. And so when you come to Indiana, it's one of the things I just adore about living in Indiana and calling this home, is that it truly is a basketball state. But there's no question, the rise of the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark has really generated even more fans. I love it when I drop my son off at preschool. There's a little boy in his class that's like always wearing a Caitlin Clark t-shirt. And I just, we weren't seeing that a few years ago. So I think that's really fun. And there's definitely, people are really all in and all on board with the Indiana Fever around here. So that's been a real joy to watch.
Your season last year, obviously frustrating for you and your entire program. I'm sure at the end of the year, your leading scorer, Maggie Hartwig, she leaves. And I think that from the outside, it's another mid-major, best player gets poached and moving on and so on. But boy, you look back and now and you're like, if my math is right, you got 6 of your top 8 scorers back from a year ago. It's almost like it's a rare, hey, you've actually got continuity, a substantial continuity. How different was, maybe, I don't want to say different, but just how good was this summer to be able to not, like, we're starting over with everybody, and where it's a completely clean slate, to have some returners and kids that really helped you last year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this summer was really one of my favorites since probably maybe when I got here. Just in that sense of, like, our players, we had a big freshman class last year. There's 6 of them, and they all returned, right? They all really bought into, again, staying, like, with the bigger vision and bigger picture of what we can be. And so, yeah, to have that group coming back. And I think, just with where they were at, it put them in the position of, we're the returners and we get to set the tone and the culture, and, we're not stepping on anyone's toes at this point. And I really challenge them, like, what do you want summer workouts to look like? Like, when you walk into the gym, what should it look like, sound like, feel like? Because when I recruited the 6 of them, I knew that they were all kids that love to be in the gym and that just really love the game and want to work hard. And so I do think they set a really good tone there this summer. And it was a joy being in the gym with them. And they are players that not only are really fun being in the gym with, but they're just fun being around in general. They're so easy to talk to. They're really relatable. They enjoy being around our staff in our offices. And so I think they did a great job of laying the expectations, the foundation, and all of that for our newcomers coming in. And our newcomers just really, like, from that aspect, came in seamlessly. And so, yeah, it was, I just think they did such a good job. And it is really nice. I mean, that freshman class got so much playing time, and and unfortunately a big piece of it got hurt really early in the season with Kylie Norcus. I mean, we expected Kylie to be one of our leading scorers, leading rebounders last year, and that was a big loss for us. And I think we didn't have a big margin for losing a player like that last year, and so that was tough. But Cameron Runner, Avery Kelly, Logan Lubbers Palmer, Kane Kreiningen, like they all played a lot of minutes last year. So that part's been really positive, and I think that they've, really shown kind of that experience.
Speaking of Cameron Runner, the Missouri Valley Conference Freshman of the Year, and back in your building, 50.5 points, 5 rebounds a game for a 5'8" guard. You love to see that. Somebody can stick your nose in there and go get some boards for you. What leap do you want to see her make? And what leap have you seen her make in the 5 months since we last saw her?
Yeah, I really challenged Cameron this summer to just always be the best player in the gym, to always be making the best play she can possibly make for our team. So it's not always scoring, right? It's like whatever that best play needs to be, that best hustle play. Cameron is not a rah-rah type person. Like that's not her personality. She's a finance major. She's very she's pretty methodical. She's pretty even keel overall. And so for me, it's not about I haven't challenged her to be more vocal or do anything more of that. I've just challenged her to dig in with her competitiveness, to really that's where she needs to lead, whether it comes to getting offensive rebounds, getting on the floor for loose balls. And when I challenged her to that, I just thought this summer her workouts really did this. The amount of times I saw that kid just, getting on the floor after a loose ball in a summer 45-minute workout was really phenomenal and really special. And so that's where I've really challenged Cameron, is to really have that kind of impact, because we do have other leaders that are more naturally vocal. I think Cameron is absolutely a leader. It's just not really her natural instinct to go out there and be rallying the troops. Right. Avery Kelly's much better in that space, right? So really just trying to put them in their positions where they can be the best version of themselves. And that's what we've seen from Cameron so far.
Looking at your roster, 5 international kids, and some of them have been here for a little while at various stops, but was that a happy accident that you have all these international kids, or was there more of a purposeful? And we've seen really at this level, there's talent all over the world, and you just have to put the resources out to go find it. What was sort of the thought process in bringing these kids in?
Yeah, we've averaged about 5 international players a year on our roster. We found a really nice niche there with those players, and especially with some length and size, because we do try to play with our posts, a bit interchangeably. We like them to be comfortable on the perimeter, but we still want them to be able to, post up well. I think we've had a lot of players that fit that really well in my time here, from Maggie Hartwig to Nevaeh Thomas to Abby Fight, who's one of the all-time greats to play at Evansville. And so, I think that, with this international group, we've found players like that, and you kind of through those connections. So, we think we've had a nice niche with those type of players. UWI's an awesome school for international students just in general, but our student body, we've got a lot of our student athlete population has a lot of international players. So it's a nice fit here. There's a nice community for that. And over my years of coaching, I've developed some really nice connections, in the recruiting space there. So love having them, because it just brings a different flavor and culture and experiences to our team. And the group that we have right now are very talented. I'm excited to have them.
Speaking of recruiting, I wanted to ask you about the situation that so many of you coaches went through in July in Louisville this year at the Run for Roses event that thankfully in the end was nothing, but in the moment it was frightening when people thought there were shots fired, and you got tens of thousands of people running, and it was scary. And you were one of the vocal coaches after saying, we're not coming back tomorrow, and these type of events, there's just not enough security and so on. I guess with maybe 6 weeks perspective on things, has your thoughts toward the event and maybe not that specific event, but just that recruiting summer deal where there's just so many people all the time, has your thoughts changed about how they need to be handled and security needs to be dealt with at those types of deals?
No, I still feel the same, because yeah. I felt that before that happened. Yeah. There have been numerous times, sitting and at Louisville, some of those events there in that convention center are some of the biggest ones we go to. And every year when I go there, I'm always in there, and there's not a lot of security coming in. We don't have to go through any checkpoints. Nobody's going through any of that. And a couple of years ago, I just remember watching a coach getting into something heated with either another coach or a parent or a ref or something. And I remember sitting there, you start to look around, where's my exit? And so you feel that, and I've been feeling that for years. And I remember, you sit by other coaches and we're all like, do you see what's happening over there? Like, let's keep an eye on that. Like, where can we get out of here? So, I felt that before that. No security is going to be perfect at any of these, but I do think there are things that people can put in place. When we go to Nike in Chicago, which is another huge convention center, like we're at least going through some metal detectors, bag checks, those type of things. Are things potentially, can they get through? Yeah, for sure. But at least there's some measure of, having some eyes on that. So, I think it's more just be mindful of it. Like,
Sure.
show, these tournaments bring in a lot of money. Like, let's care about the overall safety of everyone participating.
Staff-wise, you've brought in Amani Gordon this year, a former head coach. Just what is that? Someone with head coaching experience, and not at the Division I level, but still a head coach, run her own program and all that. How does that help you as a head coach, bringing her aboard?
Yeah. Anytime you can have somebody on your staff that has been in your seat, it doesn't matter what level, like they just have an understanding of the different types of pressure that your head coach faces on a day-to-day basis, the time constraints, right? I think sometimes, as a young assistant, you're like, what takes up my head coach's time all day? Why is she all of a sudden never available? Right. It's just things always come up. And I think sometimes until you're in that seat, you don't always get it. So it's really, really awesome having somebody who has had that experience. And Monty's just really thoughtful, a really smart coach, somebody that is just, has a lot of experience, just like you said. And so I'm excited to have her on board. And that's really going to be important for our group because, we lost Dodie Dunson, who was my associate head coach, because he got a head coaching job, which is amazing, right? And that's always what I want for my assistants, if that's their goal. And so, but he brought a lot of continuity and experience and connection with me. So it was great to have Amani come on board with her experience.
Missouri Valley Conference tournament on a little bit of a tour, I guess, of the Midwest. And last year, the first year of this 3-year run, it was in your backyard at the Ford Center. And I guess this is probably the easiest question you'll ever answer. I'm sure you loved having it there, so you can sleep in your own bed every night. But it's going to Iowa and going back to Quad Cities in 27. Did you think it worked in Evansville? And do you think it's a viable potential home long-term, whether it's on a rotating basis or maybe I'm sure there's, the Murrays and Belmonts and Evansvilles of the world. Like, yeah, let's keep it down here rather than going to Iowa. But how did you think it worked?
I thought it was great. And I do, obviously I am biased, but I thought the city, the Evansville Sports Commission, I thought everyone just put their best foot forward and did such a nice job. The Ford Center is a great venue. I think we have great hotels here, great restaurants. And so, I know Murray would love to go back there.
Sure.
I think they had a great experience.
Yes.
But good fan support. Again, half of our conference is kind of down this way. So, that's really viable from getting fans of the Valley and that type of thing here. So yeah, I thought we did I shouldn't say we, because I had nothing to do with it. I thought Evansville, did a really phenomenal job hosting it. And, from the travel aspect, I loved it. It's a long trip. The Quad Cities is just like a terrible drive for us. But, looking forward to going up to Coralville and, really different type of arena, it seems like, from the Ford Center. So something different and unique. And, I know they're excited about hosting us too. So I do look forward to that experience as well. And, we'll deal with the bus drive. It's fine.
After I was excited last year after covering the OVC tournament in my TV days for 10 years there. Mm-hmm. It was just nice to walk in. It was like, I know where every bathroom is. I know where every, there's no question. So go.
Right, coming home. It's like coming home. So
100%. All right. We're T-minus 68 days, I guess, now till the season opener, November 3rd, if you open on the 3rd. But what is priority number one for Robyn Scherr and her staff to get her kids ready to go in less than 10 weeks?
Yeah. We're young again. So we've got 11 freshmen and sophomores out of our 13 players. So we were very young last year as well. And we were just early in the season last year, we were just not ready to play defense. at the level we needed to. And we gave up huge numbers early in the season on the defensive end. And sometimes when you're in practice and you're not getting a ton of scrimmages and that type of thing, it'd be a little hard to tell where you're at. And I think at that time, I'm like, well, we can score some points. So like, we're just gonna have to outscore people. Well, if you're giving up 85 points, like it's still hard to outscore somebody at that stage. So yeah. I learned a lot from last year, and I am, dead set on making sure that is not where we're at starting out our season this year. That we've got to be much more ready to play defense, much more physical, just have that part shored up. So that's a big focus right now, is just making sure that we're ready to go on that side of the ball. Obviously our pieces have changed a little bit. We ran quite a bit around Maggie Hartwig last year, and I think rightfully so. And we've been very, year before, a lot around her, a lot around Nevaeh Thomas. Like we've had really good, kind of established post presence there. Our posts are different this year, and they're talented and they're new, but they're different. And so, our offense has got to shift a little bit. We have a really talented guard group right now. And so, we're just finding kind of some of that rhythm. And while our style of play overall is not going to change, we're certainly going to adjust and shift. And I do think we shoot the ball really well, and much better than we have, kind of 1 through 13. So, hopefully putting up a few more threes and shooting at a better percentage. Definitely.
That always helps. That always helps. Robyn Scherr, the head coach of the Evansville Purple Aces. Enjoy. I don't know. There's no ever time off. I know, but officially
right,
starting next month. No, there's not. So, thank you so much for the time. Hopefully, we can do this again soon. And
absolutely.
All right.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate you.
All right. Thank you. There is Coach Robyn Scherr, and I'm telling you. As a 50-year-old man, nothing more important than knowing where the bathroom is at all times. And I got the Ford Center picked out. That was great. So we'll see if it comes back. We will see if it comes back. I thought it was great last year, but they're very excited about Coralville this year up at the old Extreme Arena, and we'll see how that rolls. But thank you to Coach Scherr for being with us. All right, let's roll on with some other headlines of the morning, and we've got some commitment news. First one of the year for 2026 for Ryan Peden and the Illinois State Redbirds, as Jordan Williams out of Chicago, Illinois, 6'6" guard, wing. In high school, he's a center, but he is not going to be a center when he comes up to Normal to play for the Redbirds. He, again, the first 2026 commitment is reading on him the last day or so, and he's like, look, I have to play center. I'm 6'6". I have to play center for my high school team, but he has really developed as a wing and has some ability to step outside, knock down some shots, handle the basketball, and that's what they are going to ask him to do. He said Illinois State was the first one to offer, and, quote, they never let up. So it was an easy decision for Jordan Williams, as he is, still 2.5 months away before it's officially official. He will become a Illinois State Redbird. All right, more scheduling news, this time on the guys' side. How about the Drake Bulldogs? They have released their schedule for the first-year head coach, Eric Henderson. And it was interesting last night seeing for the second straight year, first-year head coach. And, Ben McCullum last year ran the table in the non-conference. And this year, that was kind of the first question I saw a lot of folks on social media popping out. Was like, so is Drake going to run the table again in the non-conference? And you're like, that's a lot to ask. And yet at the same time, you're like, yeah, I 100% see that happening. I can see that happening. No question. I mean, they have 7 home games. They have 2 neutral games, 3 neutral games, and then just 1 road game. So, I mean, you've got 10 home and neutrals and just 1 on the road. So from that standpoint, you have minimized the amount of landmines that you potentially can trip over. And again, from metrically at home, it's all you could pretty much ask for. 4 quad 4 games, Robert Morris, Edwardsville, Western Illinois, North Dakota State. You got UAB coming in. I believe that's the front end of a home and home. That's a quad 3 game. And then you have 2 non-D1 games. And look, I'm not, I understand them. And look, as the first year head coach, he's got the ability to play 2 non-D1s. I get it. They don't hurt you. They don't help you. They're kind of like whatevers. You should win by a bundle. And as you look at it, it was fun. They play Simpson and then they play Buena Vista, which I was like, I didn't even look up Buena Vista, but I was like, it sounded like the retirement community on Seinfeld once upon a time. I think that was Del Boca Vista, close enough, first cousin of that. So, but it's also, you want to play home games, but you don't necessarily have an endless supply of money to just go buy all these games, because I'm assuming that they have bought Robert Morris and Edwardsville and Western Illinois, North Dakota. So that's 4 buy games. Then you get 2 more home games. You can play these non-D1s at a fraction of the cost of what you do. So sometimes it's just simply, it's a dollars and cents situation. But the opportunity to make some hay, much like they did last year in their non-conference resume, will be the neutral site game. So they're going to open the year in South Dakota. Right after Murray State plays Omaha, you're going to get Drake and Northern Arizona right after. That's going to be a quad 4 game. Like to think that's a win for, from the projection standpoint, you'd like to think that's a win for Drake. The big ones are when they go to Destin. They're going to open up with LSU, and then they're going to play either DePaul or Georgia Tech. Those teams in the projections this year from Bart Torvik, 67, 69, 85, respectively. If they can get to the top 50, those are quad 1 games. Right now, they're quad 2. As long as they're top 100, they stay top 100, they're quad 2s. So you're feeling like you're getting at least 2 quad 1 or 2 games there. And that's huge. Get a chance to go. And hopefully those teams who have scuffled a little bit as of late can become tournament teams, and that, Drake can go get those wins, all the better. And then the one road game is at Charleston, which is the opener of a home-and-home series, and they'll come back as Chris Mack has got that program pointed in the right direction. So it's just, they're going to win a lot of games in the non-conference. The question is just going to be, are they going to win 11 games in the non-conference? That'll be the interesting thing to wait on to see with the Bulldogs for Eric Henderson. But I'll have the chance to watch them in person, unless we get dragged to the plane, because we got to get out of town after Murray State plays Omaha there in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, in the opening day marathon there put on by the Field of 68. But a good day for the Valley there. All right, we've got some old friend alerts to bring up. How about Samaj Teal from Indiana State, first team All Missouri Valley Conference back in March, the 6'2" guard who'd come in from Presbyterian, averaged 17 points a game last year for Matthew Graves at Indiana State. He has signed his professional contract. He's headed to Israel to play with Maccabi Ramat Gan. 0% chance I got that right. But that team is in the top professional league in Israel. So congratulations to Samaj for finding a next step there, and to be able to continue to ply his craft overseas there with basketball. And then finally, former Valparaiso assistant Emmanuel Dildy, who was an assistant. First year Valpo was in the Valley, 2017-18. He was assistant coach with the Beacons. From there, went on to Northwestern for 3 years, went to Oklahoma for 2 years. He's been at Duke for the last 2 years. And now, after Duke's Final Four run, Mr. Dildy has been promoted to associate head coach with the Blue Devils. John Scherr, the head coach there. And so Dildy, just a rising star in this sport, and nothing but the high praise thrown his direction. And he'll be a head coach sooner than later. You're an associate head coach at Duke. It's just a matter of time until you get to slide over to the big chair. But congratulations to former Valpo assistant Emmanuel Dildy for his promotion with the Blue Devils. All right. That will do it for this morning here on August the 27th, 68 days away. If you haven't done so already, please head on over to YouTube. Search out Morning in the Valley. Subscribe for free. We've got all our past shows, interview clips, anything you might have missed. You can all find it there. There's a little notification bell you can hit. So every time we go live, you will be notified, just in case you forget. But we're here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday during the off season at 9 a.m. Season's almost here, and our frequency will increase as we get into the season, and we have more games to talk about and plenty to talk about. Really, we'll probably, once we get in October, those exhibitions start. Can't wait for those. So appreciate your support, as we have been doing this now since we're getting on 5 months now, and growing a little more every day, and can't do that without you. So thank you for all of your time and support of this show. We will see you Friday, 9 a.m. right here on Morning in the Valley.